So hopefully the lighting isn't too weird in this video. I'm filming this at like 7 o'clock. I think if I lean back in my chair like this, the sun doesn't hit my face in a weird way. But whatever. We're gonna go with it. I filmed a couple of other videos, but I hadn't put anything out since my last like movie wrap-up thing. And mainly because I filmed those videos and I just was so bored editing them. I don't want to put out something that I'm bored editing because it's just gonna be boring for other people to watch. It's like I'm aware that I'm not a super interesting person to begin with. Watching those other videos, I was like bored by myself. I was like so uninteresting in the videos. So anyway, I did kind of have an urge to make another one of these videos because I've watched a lot of movies recently and I want to talk about them. So this is the next part of the movies I have seen in 2018 for the first time thing that I'm doing. Yeah, if you didn't see my last video, you might want to check that out because I talked about some movies that I saw at the beginning part of the year, and this is the next part of the list. These aren't movies that I've seen recently by any means. These were like March and April movies that I'm going to talk about now. But I'm going to slowly make my way through the year, hopefully, until I can catch up to where I am now. Basically, I just talk about the movies and what I liked about them, what I didn't, just general thoughts. And then I rated them all, but the ratings are all kind of arbitrary. Like, I don't know. It's not a consistent rating system, whatever. I just kind of, to have a general idea of what I liked and didn't, I kind of made a rating system, but whatever. And yeah, once again, these are just movies that I've seen for the first time this year. So I'm not including rewatches of movies on this, or else I would be talking about like a bunch of Marvel movies, because I spent a very long time rewatching Marvel movies this year. So, let's get on with it. The first movie I'm going to talk about is another one that I kind of stumbled upon. While I was flipping through the TV, I found this on Turner Classic Movies. Kind of like how I found Stage Door. This one is called The Young Lovers. It's basically about university students, I guess, played by people who are clearly not university students and are much older than university students, but whatever. Mainly about the relationship between this guy and girl who meet there, but like many old movies, it's very character and story driven rather than like action based. Like nothing really happens in this movie, I'll be honest. That's kind of the way it was in old movies because they didn't like have a lot of the technology or ability to do big action scenes, so they had to rely on characters and stories and stuff, which I kind of wish more movies nowadays would do, but whatever, that's my hot take. Like many old movies, the guys are kind of like terrible a lot of the time, but not so much that it was like an unbearable movie to watch or anything. Like it was still a good movie. It was an interesting story, there was a lot of really emotional moments, while the acting was really good. The ending I didn't like because it was very open-ended, and I don't like open-ended endings. Like I understand them artistically, like you want to have the audience kind of project what they think is going to happen in the end onto the movie, but to me, it always kind of feels a little bit like lazy writing. I don't want to say that's the case all the time for open-ended stuff because that's obviously not. Like a lot of really great writers do open-ended endings. But I just want people to wrap up their stories. I want to know what happens. I don't want you to be like, oh, well, you don't know if they got back together. You don't know what happened next, but who cares because the movie's over. You just need to fill that in for yourself. I don't like that. Give me closure, give me a final something. Just wrap it up nicely. I don't know. Or not nicely, just wrap it up. Yeah, I guess I would recommend it if you're into old movies, but if you're not, then you probably wouldn't like this, because it's like a little slow. I rated it 6.5 out of 10. Then the next movie that I watched was Coco.
You make me un poco loco, un poquitito loco, the way you keep me guessing. I'm nodding and I'm yesing, now count it as a blessing, that I'm only un poco loco.
I have like notes here that I took on all the, like I have this document where I just wrote stuff down about all the movies, and on the one for Coco and for the next movie I don't have any notes other than a rating for these two movies because for some reason after I watched them I just didn't feel like writing anything down, so I just have like nothing. So I'm basically going off memory. It's just a really beautiful movie. It's not like my favorite Pixar movie. It didn't really connect with me as much as some other ones have, but I still really enjoyed it. Like visually it was very beautiful, and the emotional story and like the twists. Very emotional. I did cry. I mean, to no one's surprise, I always cry during movies, especially Pixar movies. Really good movie, like I said. It's like cute, emotional, beautiful. It's great. Pixar just put out another quality film. They never put out bad things. Actually, I take that back. They've put out a couple of bad things before. I rated Coco 7 out of 10. And then the next movie that I watched, yes, I watched this movie for the first time this year, was Mean Girls.
You're like really pretty.
Thank you.
So you agree?
What?
You think you're really pretty?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my god, I love your bracelet. Where did you get it?
Oh, my mom made it for me.
It's adorable.
It's so fetch.
What is fetch?
Oh, it's like slang from England.
So if you're from Africa, why are you white?
Oh my god, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white.
I want to clarify that I've seen parts of Mean Girls and I've heard all of the jokes and stuff. So I was like familiar with the concept of the movie and I've seen certain scenes from it and stuff, but I'd never seen it in its entirety, in full, until this year. So it was really weird watching the movie already knowing most of the references, and actually like seeing where they come from and like seeing them in context and stuff. I really liked it. I like teen movies. I feel like Mean Girls was like the last of the good modern teen movies. Like the 80s you had Breakfast Club, and also Heathers, but like Heathers was a weird teen movie, so I don't know if that counts. In the 90s had Clueless, early 2000s had Mean Girls. Where's My 2010s movie that's like a great teen movie? Like I know To All the Boys I Loved Before just came out on Netflix, but I haven't watched it. And I mean, it looks good, but is it like iconic teen movie material? Who knows? Yeah, I thought it was really funny. I thought everyone was really great in it. It also set me up nicely to be able to listen to the Mean Girls musical later on in the year, which, I'll be honest, is not as good as the movie. You're not here for my thoughts on Mean Girls the musical, and I want to spread some positivity, so I'm not going to talk about it. Anyways, I guess I don't need to elaborate on Mean Girls. 90% of you have seen it, and if you haven't, you should check it out. It's pretty good. I rated it 7.5 out of 10. Alright, and now on to the next movie, which I'm very excited to talk about because I think this is like my favorite movie that I've seen this year so far. I mean, it's the one I've rated the highest. I absolutely loved it. Infinity War might be my favorite movie that I've seen, but this one is either a close second or is like #1. Anyways, that movie is A Quiet Place. This is seriously one of the best movies I think I've like ever seen. Like, first of all, let's talk about the setup and the concept of this movie because it's so cool. And I remember seeing the trailer for this movie when the trailer first came out and immediately being hooked onto the story. The idea of not being able to make a sound because if you do, you'll be killed by a monster is terrifying, first of all. It's also just so cool. I was like, how are they gonna make a movie where they can't really make sounds? And they do it so well. The importance of sound and the lack thereof in the movie is so cool. The way they have to communicate mostly through facial expressions and through ASL is really cool. And apparently I heard that each character's way of signing is very indicative of their character. It's also cool that the girl in the movie is played by a girl who is actually deaf in real life, which, I mean, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, but at this point it's cool to see groups actually being represented by people who are part of that group, you know? And she's such a good actor. Like, both of the kids in this movie are great actors. They're incredible. John Krasinski's great, and I like that he's proving that he can do more than just comedy, because everyone knows him as Jim, right? He's just a really good actor because he can obviously do really serious, intense stuff, but he can also be really funny. He does such a good job acting and directing. I'm proud of him. And of course, Emily Blunt is amazing as always. I don't think she's ever done a bad job in a movie, or done badly at anything in her life, probably. Like, the bathroom scene, iconic. Now, I don't really watch horror movies that much, or even really thrillers, so I was kind of a little bit nervous going into this. I didn't know how intense it was going to be or if it was going to scare me too much. But the scariness doesn't come from like any shock value or like jump scares really. It mostly just comes from the tension that's building up throughout the movie because, you know, you're so tense just waiting for them to make a sound, and then if somebody does make a sound, you're on the edge of your seat because you're like, oh no, what's going to happen? Someone's going to die. So you're just very like clenched up through the whole movie, and that's what makes it really scary. Like, I made the mistake of like buying snacks and eating them during the movie. Like, I had like peanut M&Ms or something, and I was trying so hard to do it quietly because it's not a good movie to eat snacks during, because you want to be completely silent because you're so into the movie that you feel like if you make a sound it's going to ruin everything and the characters will die. And it was cool how they were able to build the world and the characters without doing any like exposition dumping. Like, there was no moment where a character sat down and just told you how everything happened. The only way you really get to see it is through like the newspaper clippings and stuff that are in the basement. That's the thing, is they don't go super in detail into like the background of how this all came to be, and you don't really need to know. You just need to know a couple of like details of how everything is working in this world. It makes it all the more mysterious because, you know, you don't know exactly what's going on for a while. I'm gonna put a timestamp here to skip ahead to if you haven't seen the movie and don't want it spoiled, because I'm gonna talk about the very end. So skip to here, please. I don't want to spoil it for you. So, like I was just talking about, I don't like open-ended endings, so I didn't really like get the ending of this. Not that I didn't get it. I got it. Like, I understood what happened, but because like at the end, they find out that they can like kill the monsters with a really high frequency sound, and like the last shot is just like Emily Blunt cocking a gun, which is iconic. But obviously it's implied that they're gonna kill all these creatures just by, you know, using that like high frequency sound and just like killing them that way, I guess. But it would have been cooler to like see them do it and kind of get that release, like, yes, I get to watch them like annihilate these monsters, instead of like, oh, I guess they're gonna do that but we don't get to watch it kind of thing. I don't know, it was just too open-ended. I wish they would have just like had like a final battle scene, even though it wasn't really a movie that lended itself to any like battle scenes. It's like, I understand why they did it, but at the same time I kind of wish they would have just wrapped it up more instead of it being open-ended. It wasn't even really that open-ended, I just wanted more closure, I guess. I don't know. I loved A Quiet Place so much. It was such a creative idea, and I'd love to see more movies in Hollywood take risks and do cool things like this. Anyways, I rated this movie 9 out of 10 because it's incredible. So the next movie that I saw was a newish one, and that is Goodbye, Christopher Robin.
The creatures in the story are toys. They're toys, but the woods are real. And the size is wrong. The bear should be smaller. Size of a little brother.
There.
Yes. Yes, that's it.
Blue, are you writing a book? I thought we were just having fun.
We're writing a book and we're having fun.
I didn't know you could do both at the same time. You don't usually look like you're having fun while you're writing.
Not to be confused with Disney's Christopher Robin, which focuses on a fictional Christopher Robin, but this one is about historical stuff, I guess. It's about A.A. Milne and his son, Christopher Robin, and just about him writing Winnie the Pooh and kind of how it affected his family. I think it's pretty much based in fact. Like, I think they took a few liberties with it, but, you know, the main basis of it is factual. It's really charming, but also, like, kind of sad. I really like the aesthetic of, like, the English countryside, which is one of the things I liked about Peter Rabbit. But this one also takes place in the English countryside in a little cottage, and it's just really cute. Like I said, it's cute, but it's also sad because the way that him writing this book and becoming really famous affected his family and his relationship with the son. It's kind of sad. I really love Winnie the Pooh, so it's kind of cool to see, you know, behind the author what was really going on. Donald Gleason did a great job in this movie. He plays A.A. Milne. He's really good. Margot Robbie plays his wife, also really great. She's, like, amazing. The kid who played Christopher Robin was good. I'm always, like, in awe of child actors for being good at acting. Like, you're, like, 7. How are you understanding what's going on? How are you good at this? So yeah, I thought it was a pretty good movie. I would recommend watching it. I rated it 7.5 out of 10. I think I have time to get through one more movie, maybe? So I'll talk about the next one that I watched, which was I, Tonya.
Now we will find out whether she will be the first American to attempt and complete a triple axel jump. We will know that here, whether she tries it or not.
This movie was really fun to watch. I mean, fun's a weird word. It's not like a fun, feel-good movie, but it kind of is. It's a dark comedy, really. Sort of. I don't know. It's really hard to describe if you haven't seen it. It's like funny in parts, but it's also like really intense. Basically, if you are unaware, this is the story of Tonya Harding, who was a figure skater back in the day, who was involved in this scandal with another figure skater, and she was... What was interesting about Tonya Harding was that she wasn't like an ice princess like the other figure skaters. Like, she wasn't like super delicate and like poised. She was very like, I almost want to say redneck kind of, or like, you know, she was more rough around the edges, so she was very different. And I think this movie is based in fact, but what is interesting about it is that the way they tell the story is through like interviews and conflicting stories from, you know, different people's sides of the story, which makes it really interesting because you don't really know who's telling the truth or like what the true story is, because everyone has their own perception of it, which is kind of how the situation is in real life. You know, I still don't really know how I feel about it or how I feel about Tonya Harding. It's like the whole idea of an unreliable narrator. I think it's a really good way of handling the story because it's very controversial. People have their opinions on this story, so it's a very good way of, you know, handling a situation that so many people have differing opinions on. But they can put this perspective out there and be like, yeah, so this is our perspective, but, you know, maybe it's not totally true. We don't know. Recently, like during this year's Olympics, I became a really big fan of figure skating, and this movie really points out something that I think is still kind of a problem in figure skating, and that's that it's not totally about your skill or about your program. There is still a lot of it that's about your look. Like, if you don't look the part, you're not going to do as well. That's what Tonya struggles with a lot in this, is she, like I said, is not like the other skaters, and that makes her different, makes people not take her seriously kind of thing. I think it portrayed figure skating a little bit more corrupt than it actually is. Like, I think maybe now people care less about, you know, the overall look, but I still think it is definitely a factor, because I can't think of anyone in modern figure skating who's like Tonya Harding at all. Like, everyone is still very, like, ice princessy, I guess. Like, think Tessa Virtue. Like, I love her, but like, she is like basically a living Disney princess. Like, anyways, Margot Robbie is amazing in this. Like, she's so good. Also, Sebastian Stan is great. I mean, maybe I'm a bit biased because I love Sebastian Stan a lot, but he's so good. Allison Janney is really good too. Also, I want to point out that McKenna Grace is in this, and she has no business being as good as she is at acting. Like, she's so young and yet so good. So yeah, anyway, I love this movie. I definitely recommend it. I will warn you that it has quite a bit of profanity in it. Like, they swear a lot. There's a lot, like, just constantly. So if you're not a fan of that, I wouldn't maybe watch it. But if, you know, it doesn't bother you, please watch this movie. It's really good. I rated it 8 out of 10. Right, so I think that's all the movies that I'm going to talk about for today. The thing I like about doing this is that every single time I do one of these videos, I feel like I'm gonna have at least 1 or 2 movies that I'm really excited about in the list because I've seen a lot of really good movies this year. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this. Let me know down in the comments if you have seen any of these movies, what you thought of them, and just let me know what you've been watching recently. I'll see you guys in my next video, whenever it comes out. Yeah. Bye! I'm so bad at outros, oh my gosh. I don't know what I'm doing.